Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be reviewing a man named Young Don Reacts. We're going to watch his video titled Tyler the Creator Doesn't Like His White Fans. We're going to see how this goes because things have been a little controversial with the man and how he started his career. So the root of his career is a little bit, might I say, a little bit giving self-hating vibes. And part of that self-hate resulted in him putting down women of his community. That's a little bit of self-sabotage, honey, but we're gonna watch and see what's up. Now he doesn't like the people that were supporting that rhetoric of his. They're still his fans, but obviously if they are putting down his women, then that means they're secretly putting him down. They just like the vibe he gives, the magic he gives. He breathes life into the music, genre music that he does. So it's like, we're gonna see how this goes, because things happen to resurface, especially when people start doing good. For some odd reason, it's like that. Because people get too jelly of them. The fact that they're doing good. But anyways, I'm not saying that Tyler's actions when he was like 19, 20, 18, 19, 20, 21 were 22, 23. Everyone is young at some point and makes dumb decisions. Okay? Also, I haven't, the way I found out about Tyler was not until I was in my mid-20s. Like, I didn't even know who he was. I didn't watch Loader Squad. I didn't listen to any of his music until I watched Nuts and Bolts when I was like 22 or 23. So, throughout listening to his music, I'd have to go back and look at his stuff. I've always looked at his stuff as just like satire. Like, he's the one going against the grain, and that's, I feel like, he's being a misfit or whatever. Sorry, this is a long intro, y'all. But I'm telling you the lore of how I even found out about the guy, because I feel like I found out about him in an unconventional way because I liked him for his personality before I liked him for his music. Like, there was something about his personality that attracted me to him, and then I started listening to his music and I was like, okay. So let's get right into the video. I want to see what's going on because this is literally surfacing up the past few days. And he came out with that Don't Touch the Glass freaking album recently, which I know is probably going to get a Grammy, not gonna lie. It's pretty good. It's pretty, like, addicting to listen to, which is crazy to say. But anyways, you guys, comment down below if you want me and Tyler to make some music together. Comment down below, and then maybe somebody can get a hold of Clancy himself, and then we could literally, like, make something work. Let me know. Okay, let's get into it. Young Don Reacts.
In the reality of his fan base. Video by Blackie.
Sorry.
Tyler the Creator is facing the reality of his fan base. Video by Black.
Fan base, that is. The base is at the bottom. So it's like, he probably, in the beginning of his work, had a lot of, like, little white boys that had a crush on him or whatever, or try to be what they're not. Those type of people were probably liking him in the beginning.
He speaks. Yeah, man, I've been seeing this brewing online for the past couple of days. A lot of backlash coming at Tyler the Creator for a lot of anti-black statements that he made in the past. Let's go ahead and check this out.
Now, Tyler the Creator is currently experiencing one of the harshest realizations any artist can face. the reality of the audience he built. If you've been on social media these last few days, you've probably seen Tyler the Creator's name getting dragged all over the timeline. A lot of people still don't understand what's actually happening right now, because this isn't just about a couple old tweets resurfacing. It's not even about a disrespectful comment section. It's really about what happens when your own fan base, the one that made you famous, grows into something you can no longer control. And Tyler is in the middle of that fire right now. In this video, I'm not only going to recap the drama, but I'm also going to show you guys why this moment is actually terrifying for any artist, but especially a black artist with a massive non-black audience, and why Tyler might be living through the exact consequences he spent the last decade trying to avoid. Now, Tyler the Creator is a name or face I think almost everybody recognized by this point. He's been in the music game for over 15 years, ever since the early Odd Future days, back when he was loud, rebellious, and unapologetically weird. And over that time, he's gone on to build one of the most loyal and cult-like fan bases in modern music. However, that same fan base is now at the center of a major dilemma. Tyler has been in serious hot water these last few days, and it all started with something incredibly innocent. A tribute post to the legendary neo-soul icon D'Angelo, who recently passed away from pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, man, that's sad, bro. Hey, guys, take it easy on the alcohol, all right? Because alcohol really, I don't know D'Angelo, I don't know his lifestyle, but that's something that a lot of people really don't acknowledge, is that alcohol greatly increases your chances of getting cancer. So please, drink.
That is not something I knew. I knew it was like poison. I knew it was like tons of sugar put together that's making your nervous system do something, like react to it. But I did not know it could risk getting cancer quicker. Like, that's wild. Well, there's a higher risk, my bad, to getting it. Huh. Yeah. Y'all, drinking, like, over access of anything is just not good, you guys. Like, just, I know a couple people that died just from alcoholism. Just from, like, not knowing when to put the bottle down, you guys. It's not fun.
Responsibly.
Up a heartfelt post honoring his legacy on Instagram, and instead of treating it with the seriousness it deserved, a portion of his fan base flooded the comments asking when he was going to drop music and essentially saying things completely unrelated to the tribute. And they weren't acknowledging the loss. They weren't even present in the moment with him.
Yeah, I'm sure Tyler's fan base does not have a clue who D'Angelo is, nor are they interested in learning about him.
Eventually turned the comment section off, and that's when the situation took a turn. Because shortly after, he liked a tweet on Twitter that said, and I quote, "Tyler's fanbase hates black music despite Tyler himself having a very deep love and appreciation for it. Nigga has Charlie Wilson, Erykah Badu, and DJ Drama, etc. collaborations, and they still refuse to engage with black art on any meaningful level. Very cannibalistic."
Very cannibalistic.
So the tweet was basically saying Tyler's own fanbase benefits from black culture because that's what he is. He's black and he's a product of it, right? But they don't actually respect or engage with black culture itself. In other
because they're cultureless vultures.
words, they love Tyler's aesthetics, his personality, his influence, but not the actual roots of the art he comes from.
Right.
And right after liking it, Tyler fired back with a tweet of his own where he said, "These sun dodgers are out of control, man." He ended up deleting this tweet, by the way, but if you're not familiar with the term, it's another way of saying white people. Now here's where things flipped, okay? Because almost instantly,
I ain't gonna lie to you, that's a crazy move. Directly, and it's one thing to like a tweet, but to directly call out your own fan base, you're asking for a civil war, no doubt, within your own fan base.
The spotlight turned back onto Tyler himself.
If they still like him after, if the original fan base still likes him after freaking Sir Baudelaire, then that's on them. The fuck? Rolls Royce pull up, black boy hop out. Like, he been called motherfuckers out, but they don't be listening.
Internet didn't just criticize the fans, they started scrutinizing Tyler's past. And it sparked a conversation about,
like, be for real. Master couldn't catch me. My legs longer than a bitch. Got too much self-respect and wash my hands before I piss. Like, he would not be singing about that if he didn't give zero fucks about
the
these
exact
folks.
type of audience he has cultivated. And the focus shifted from his fans are being disrespectful to, no, wait a second, you created them. A lot of the criticism was centered around this exact idea that Tyler made this kind of behavior feel acceptable in.
And no, I'm not sticking up for the man. I know he says shit and, you know, things have been brewing and it just resurfaces later. So he's gonna face his karma for the things he did, of course.
His own fan base. Because let's be honest, most of us remember the early Odd Future era. Tyler's music, his skits, even his tweets. That era of Tyler was extremely loud, edgy, and a lot of times offensive on purpose.
Oh yeah, no, Tyler the Creator, he was on some wild shit. Him and Hobson, bro, those niggas was insane.
And now those old tweets are resurfacing again, tweets that Tyler himself has actually been deleting in real time over the past few days.
Ooh.
For example, here's one that started spreading everywhere. I hate Black History Month. Why the F do you have to fucking separate niggas still? Now, there are a bunch of other tweets that people started digging up, but that's just one that ended up going super viral. So that's where the tone of the conversation changed completely, right? Now, Tyler has faced this type of backlash before, but this time, I think this one is definitely different because for the first time, the outrage wasn't just about what he said in the past. It was directly tied to the people he speaks to right now. It wasn't just Tyler's fan base are being disrespectful. It became, no. This is actually your fault. That Tyler didn't just attract this kind of audience, he helped shape them through the early Odd Future era,
right.
The shock value, the
yeah, you can't build your fan base, build your brand as an artist, saying shit like, fuck Black History Month, and then get mad when they don't give a fuck about your memorial post honoring a Black R&B artist from a previous generation. But even worse, to then call these dudes sun dodgers?
I don't know. The Black History Month thing is very, like, controversial because we should be learning about Black history in the school systems every fucking day, not just during a month, you know? Black history is American history, and you don't learn much about it in school. I think it should just be something that is put into the curriculum, something that needs to be involved. Like, everybody should know about the people walking among them and their history, and not just some whitewash version or some bullshit version to try to make somebody that goes to the same school seem like they're on a higher level because of the history that was taught. No, that's dumb. It should be, if anything, it should be Black History Month, and Black history should be taught throughout every curriculum. It doesn't matter if you're in a religious school, you need to learn Black history. It doesn't matter if you're in a private school, a public school, a home school. It doesn't matter what school you go to. It needs to be, Black history needs to be taught. American history is Black history. Indigenous Black history is American history. Like, let's get it the fuck together.
Man, you see, and this, what you're seeing with Tyler is precisely why guys like Brandon Tatum, guys like Candace Owens, and, you know, all the raccoons that have built their wealth and their brand and their name around either dehumanizing Black people, belittling Black people, Black culture, Black history, you know, trying to just do the fucking bullshit, man, of like, race doesn't matter. Listen, there is nothing more important than race in America or the West. It is the big.
It's a part of the social construct. This whole race thing, it's a part of the social building blocks of this country that was the base of that was, you know, massacring, murdering, slavery, and all that dumbass shit. That's also resurfacing. A lot of things are starting to come up now that they've tried to bury deep down. They're starting to, you know, it's like when there's a body of water and the dirt underneath starts to give way. All the things that they tried to bury are coming up.
Fucking elephant in the room that people just keep trying to pretend isn't in the room. And so now that sleeping giant that's been there all along is waking up. And it's fucking angry, dude.
The jokes, the reckless tweets, actually your fault. That Tyler didn't just attract this kind of audience, he helped shape them. Through the early Odd Future era, the shock value, the edgy jokes, the reckless tweets, people are now arguing that Tyler normalized this behavior in his fan base that made it feel acceptable to laugh at black pain, to mock black issues, to consume black culture without ever truly respecting it or trying to understand it. And let's be real, Tyler's fan base has always been majority white, especially in the early Odd Future era. 90% of his audience
Could you imagine if every influential black celebrity stood on business in regards to, Black matters? Oh my God, we would have made so much more progress by now, because it's this kind of raccoon behavior, the minimizing of the realities of black people in this country, that has convinced it's the minimizing of this shit by these raccoons, these celebrities, that has convinced so many young white Americans that it's not an issue. How could it be an issue? Look at Tyler the Creator. He's saying we don't even need Black History Month. Yeah, man. The chicken.
If anything, you white people need to fucking listen. Sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up, and listen for once. You guys think that it doesn't have an effect on you at all. Little do you know, a big chunk of your mind has no information on what's going on in this world on so many different levels because of the blockage of hate. So this is the block of hate. This is how much knowledge you know, and this is how much knowledge is still available out there that you will never have access to because this wall of hate. So you're fitting yourself into this little box and you don't even know. Y'all think your little puny lives are the world. And when it's just a tiny, minuscule part of everything that is available in life. But guess what? You can break out of that box if you actually listen to the people around you and take yourself off that pride horse. Just get the fuck off the pride horse.
Are coming home to roost.
Then was young white males who were chronically online, who loved that edgy, chaotic energy he was giving them. Yes, black kids were there too, but what really blew him up at first was that wave of white internet kids who felt like they finally had, permission to be wild and say anything in the name of being edgy. But over the years, as Tyler has evolved as an artist and stepped further into his creative maturity, his audience has obviously expanded. At this point, Tyler speaks to everybody. Teenagers, middle-aged white women, black fans, Hispanic fans, older people, fashion kids, music nerds, and so forth. His reach is not only massive, but his fan base is way more diverse than it was 10 years ago, right? So now Tyler is basically being held accountable for creating the very behavior he's now denouncing. People are calling him hypocritical, saying you can't complain about the same people who made you famous. And on the other hand, some of those white fans are looking at it like, wait, what? You made it okay for us to act like this, right? It's almost like
just because somebody does something doesn't mean you have to do it. It doesn't mean you have permission to do it either. So I believe that we need to hold the people accountable that made those decisions and assumed that they can do something based on what a celebrity was doing, this and that. Like, that's not necessarily his fault or his problem, that those people have kind of like delinquent minds and think that they need to play copy or follow the leader when that's not you and it never will be you. Tyler's his own person.
Kid in a grocery store acting all wild, and the mom tries to suddenly calm him down, and the kid looks at her like, calm down, this is how you raised me. Except for the fact that these aren't 8-year-olds. These are people between, I would estimate, 20 and 26 years old at this point, maybe 18, 24, 26, somewhere there, if I had to make a rough estimation, right? Some of them have literally grown up on Tyler since 2011. They were 12-year-olds laughing at the edgy Odd Future era, and now they're fully grown adults. However, still
and they're Trump supporters.
Wire the same exact way, and that's what's being exposed right now. So Tyler is now being forced to face the reality that's a very big part of his own creation. But at the same time, this isn't something he can fully control, right? These are real individuals making their own decisions about how they choose to show up, regardless of whether Tyler contributed to shaping that behavior during his younger years. The truth is, Tyler is 34 years old as of today, right? He's not the same man he was back then when Odd Future first blew up. He's evolved into something far more intentional, thoughtful, and artistically refined. Because like many black artists, Tyler didn't just make music. He became an entry point into black culture for an entire generation. And at the same time, he became a home for black kids who never felt like they fit anywhere. Too black for the white kids and too white for the blacks. Earl Sweatshirt said that once. And it stuck with a lot of people, including myself. Artists like Tyler and Earl, right, have become more than just celebrities. They became a voice for people who never had one.
Yeah, and you know, the sad reality of it is, I heard someone, it was actually Foreign Fridays. Shout out to my boy Foreign Fridays. I've heard him say that we're all victims and we're all villains, right? Or every villain is a victim. I think some is more along the lines of what he said. Every villain is a victim. And unfortunately, what is incredibly clear is that we have had an entire generation of black parents in not just America, but even the Caribbean, in Europe, UK. We have an entire generation of black parents who, I think, with good intentions, intentionally try to whitewash their children for the sake of helping them be more successful in this capitalistic white supremacist structure. Black history was never a big deal. Black History Month was probably not a big deal in the household that they grew up in. Their parents told them things like race doesn't matter. They were dissuaded from getting too immersed in black culture at a young age. They were all of the demonization of black culture that we see and we talk about here on YouTube. They
Being raised around Caucasian folk, I didn't even know who Michael Jackson was like that until I was 11 and he passed away. Like, that is when I found out who Michael Jackson was, which is crazy.
We're fed this shit. And so they end up gravitating more towards having white friends. But it occurs to them that their blackness is still useful, especially amongst these kinds of people, right? These other groups of people who are not black. They realize that their Hispanic friends and their white friends, they like it when they get called a nigga by you. They like that shit if they feel included in it. And maybe you even let them say it around you. And so their blackness becomes a tool. It even becomes a costume, but they are still running on that white supremacist programming mentally.
But here's where things get complicated, because the same people Tyler represents racially are not the same people contributing to his pockets monetarily, and that matters because Tyler isn't just an artist. He's a black artist, and the black experience comes with a very specific type of weight and responsibility. You don't just stay a musician for long. The moment you start influencing the culture and the world, you unintentionally become an educator in a lot of ways, or a reference point, if you will, an entry point into blackness itself, especially for people outside of it. And a lot of non-black kids grew up on Tyler, not just because he was wild and unfiltered, not just because he was saying things they couldn't say, but because he gave them access to a world they were never fully a part of. But that's where things get a little bit blurry, right? Because in Tyler's early years, his entire identity was built on, I don't care, I can say whatever I want. And when you build your brand on that, you naturally remove the boundaries for the people supporting you.
Right.
And people stop knowing what's satire and what's an actual reflection of how you view your own people, right?
Yeah, and you're also going to have fans that have the same attitude of, I can say whatever the fuck I want, and I don't care what people think, even if it's racist or bigoted or anything like that.
And once that line is gone, they stop treating it like art and start treating the way you move like permission. And to Tyler's own flaw, I don't think he fully understood the weight of that back then. He was just being himself. He wasn't trying to be a cultural ambassador.
The
but
dude
as he
was
evolved,
a teenager.
His music evolved as well. And Flower Boy in 2017 was the turning point. That was the album where everything shifted for Tyler. The first time he fully embraced vulnerability, softness, introspection. And that was also around the time he seemingly came out the closet, right? With lines like, I've been kissing white boys in 2004.
I don't know about seemingly. Yeah, he came out the closet as a bisexual man, which, you know, that's fine if that's that's how he is.
Marked the beginning of a whole new era, one where Tyler became the embodiment of the same freedom he once used to mock. And that's something a lot of artists struggle with. You lean into something early on to stand out, and you attract people who fall in love with that version of you, but later when you grow and evolve, mature, a part of your audience refuses to come with you on that journey.
That happens with friends. That happens in life. It's called like when you're growing a plant and you need to trim off the leaves so it can grow better because the leaves are holding it down, weighing it down, or whatever the case. Literally, it's basically like you're shedding off out people and things and habits and things like that you had that are just holding you down. People will leave your life too once you grow because they're not used to that version of you.
The question becomes, to what extent should Tyler be...
But it is also telling, though, you know, him being a bisexual man, that he did gravitate towards white boys. You know, that's also telling. It lines up with everything else, right?
Held accountable for cultivating an audience like this in the first place? That's a question I have to you, because he doesn't really have the authority to control how they show up. That part of his fan base, in my opinion, is a virus he's never going to be able to fully contain. How I look at it is, at the end of the day, it comes down to the individuals who made the decision not to grow with him. And I generally believe a big portion of his audience, even if they'll always call themselves fans, will never actually evolve with him. They'll most likely permanently stay stuck in that era they discovered him in. Meanwhile, Tyler himself evolved far past their pace and far past their expectations. And in 2025, it's clear he's not even remotely the same person he was back then. So, you know, we literally change as human beings on a day-to-day basis. Our habits change, our mindset changes, our identity shift in every single second, even our bodies on a cellular level, right? And Tyler's evolution as an artist has shifted completely from where he started. And he obviously knows that. But to his own right, he refuses to be caged into a version of himself he's already outgrown. And the truth is, Tyler is never going to be able to fully escape the accusations tied to the fact that he once mocked his own people back then, right? Even if you looked at it as he was trolling or if you looked at it as he was hateful, doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, he helped lower the boundary.
Why are you guys even bringing that up? If you guys have heard any of his recent music, he says he's encouraging. Like, he is encouraging his people. Like, hello. So I think this whole thing is stupid. I think it's all dumb. And yeah. He's obviously changed. Like, obviously. And it's funny because we could do that with actual racist people that have never gone back and said anything positive about black folks after the accusations of them being racist. We know a few people. So I just think after the initial thing that happened, if we don't see any changes along the way, then we can get mad. Then we can get upset. If we saw somebody being racist and they still show signs of them being racist after that, we can be mad. We can still be mad. Tyler can't be racist, but he could be self-hating. He could be prejudiced. He could be self-hating towards his own community, which is not going to benefit him in any freaking way. Or anyone else at that matter, but...
or how far his own fans felt like they could go. And the reality is, that is a part of his story, history now. No matter how uncomfortable that past may look in hindsight, at some point you still have to face the reality of your own creation.
Yeah, that's the thing with Tyler, man. His frequency has been very strong, has a lot of momentum, going in a very specific way in regards to who he is, right? Who he has been telling the universe that he is. And so when you try to shift that, there's a lot of inertia that needs to be overcome. And this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like when you change your course in such a serious way. But the solution for Tyler is for him to just stay the course. I haven't seen any posts about him giving any responses or, you know, trying to combat what people are saying or anything like that. And that's good. He needs to just be the person that he wants to be. We, of course, don't know what's going on in his private life, but it would seem as if he's had some kind of awakening. And he just needs to live in that, man. He needs to live in that and ignore all of the noise, ignore all of the what people are saying. And if he does that from a place of self-security and self-assurance, knowing that the only persons whose opinion matters is your own, well, then we'll just see Tyler evolve into something far greater and far more positive than what he has been up until this point. And if he stays the course and doesn't fold to the pressure of the backlash, and he goes back to saying fuck Black History Month and all that, as long as he doesn't do that, well, once he gets through the beatings, well, he will.
I feel like we need to ask questions. We need to not assume the absolute worst.
Come out on top. It's very similar to the story of the Apostle Paul in the Bible, right? The Apostle Paul, he was a Jewish person persecuting Christians, and he had a conversion. He became a Christian, but he was such a strong advocate against Christians and Christianity. He was even responsible in part for the death of a Christian. And so when he converted, he had to endure a massive amount of pain and suffering and anger from the Jewish people who he used to call his brothers and stand arm in arm with. But the important thing is that he didn't falter. He just continued to stay the course. He continued to stay on mission and is now venerated by a lot of Christians as the greatest of all the apostles. And so that can be used as a metaphor.
He'll be alright. His passion will drive him.
For any of us, you have the option, the ability to be whoever you want to be. If you have been a certain kind of way for a period of time and you want to change, well, there's absolutely nothing stopping in your way. But yes, you are going, the universe is going to give you pushback. You might not be a famous rapper, so it may not come in the form of,
you know what, and pushback, it's not always bad. It's like a catapult. It's like a what are those called? What are those called, you guys? Any type of thing where you're holding it and you pull it back. Gah! And it releases forward. Any type of, like, what are those called, you guys? Where you hold it and it's like, whoosh. Comment down below, please. But anyway, so that was my perspective on this whole thing. Of course, I'm just a girl, you guys. These are my logical opinions. I'm not really a fan of logic all the time, or realism, but like, it makes total sense. I'm a fan of what makes sense and what makes, facts and truth, and I'm a big fan of just like telling how it is and being bold and being truthful and being, amazing and all that. But anyways, like, thank you guys for coming back to this video. If you like the video, like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the notification bell for more. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.